Why should you do mystery 1v1 duels or 1v1 duels against your friends just for fun? Well, there's 6 reasons that I've come up with today, and we're going to get into that right now. My name is Helmsy, thank you for joining me. So the 6 reasons are as follows. It isolates the player, it isolates people. You know, you can't rely on your team to get this kill. You can't rely on anybody else, it's you versus them. You have to, you can pick their counter, you can do whatever you have to do to beat this person. But whenever it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's you versus them. So in the footage behind me, I usually like to play Genji in 1v1s because Genji's very strong in 1v1s, and he's also a lot of fun to play, and he can outplay a lot of his counters. The only one that really gets him is Winston, and you'll see in the video, I think I'll leave it in, or at least we'll get to it, that Winston actually comes out. My friend decides to pick him because he's tired of me playing Genji, and instead of switching off of Genji, I use my ultimate and kill him and leave with something like 22 or 48 health or something terrible, a Winston versus a Genji is never a fun encounter, and you're gonna lose pretty often, but you can kind of outplay that encounter to some extent. You have to have your ultimate up, or you have to be able to kite the Winston a ton. He jumps on you, you dash away from him, and then continue to hit him with throwing stars. That's pretty much the only way that you're going to be able to do it. But other than that, Genji can outplay a lot of his counters. Genji can outplay the Symmetra. All you have to do is take out the shield and then get really close and personal, and then start to kind of whittle her down, because obviously she's just going to left click on you. You have to kill her extremely quick once you're in there, because I think she can hook onto you in probably 2 seconds, you'll be dead or something like that. So you do have to be very careful going against someone like that, but you can definitely win those encounters. Same thing with a Roadhog. If a Roadhog hooks you, you're pretty much screwed, but if you're really close to a Roadhog, if you're right up in his face, if you're jumping over him and stuff like that, and he doesn't really know where you're at, you can kind of outplay him in that situation. You'll see that in the video. I think that's pretty close to the beginning, so I think it'll probably make it in. But you definitely want to kind of figure out your way of how you can 1v1 somebody, because it will almost always inevitably happen in a game somehow. You'll just wipe out somebody on the back line, and this Roadhog will come out of spawn or something like that. You're like, now you have to 1v1 this Roadhog, or escape from the Roadhog or something. Learn how these people play and take advantage of it. As soon as Roadhog sees you, he's gonna hook you. You know what to do. Deflect it. Easy as that. That's all you have to get away from is the hook. If you can get away from the hook, you win against a Roadhog pretty much all the time. He can get a lucky left click in and just pretty much one-shot you, but depending on who you're playing against, how good this Roadhog is and everything like that, or just how good you are at your mobility and staying behind him, staying above him, stuff like that, it's going to help you out a lot. I kind of explained this a little bit in the first part, is pick counters. Learn how to outplay your counters. That's a huge part. If you're playing Soldier, somebody else decides to go Widow, you can outplay that counter. You have to get closer to them. You have to find some way around things to get closer to them, make sure their ulti's not up, stuff like that. If he picked Winston, I could have easily gone Reaper and just destroyed him as Winston, because Reaper counters Winston, Reaper hard counters Winston, but I chose to actually stay with Genji just because I could ult, and then I asked him to switch off because I do not like facing Winstons as a Genji in 1v1s, because it's just it's really not fair, and I just didn't want to switch. I wanted him to play something else. A huge thing that it actually does in these 1v1s, as I mentioned with the isolation, or because of the isolation rather, is that it's going to put a huge emphasis on your ability to hit shots. So if you're playing a Genji, it's going to put a huge emphasis on your ability to start and finish targets. Genji is really good at finishing targets, but how good is he at starting and finishing targets? Kind of a thing. It'll get you better at that first part of it. Same thing with McCree. It'll let you actually practice your aiming and make sure that you get your shots off, because if you don't get your shots off and you don't land your shots, there's nothing else that's going to save you. Again, you're isolated. It's up to you to land your shots. It's up to you to land your E, your flashbang. And pretty much everything is on you. You have to have good aim to play the people who you're playing. And I mean, yes, you can go into the practice range and do the 6 Anabots versus you as McCree and get some aiming practice. But that'll only go so far. Whenever it comes down to it, those Anabots are moving bots, and they move kind of randomly, but they don't move like a real person. So this helps you kind of click on the heads of a moving person. The fourth one is map awareness. So this will help you get to know your maps very well. The reason why is because chances are, as if you're not playing a healer and you're not playing soldier or hog, which I never do, and my friend usually likes to play something like Pharah or Mei, which Mei can actually heal too, but she can't heal the full. So you'll kind of figure out where to go on the map. For the health packs, you'll know where all the health packs are at. You'll know where to go to kind of outplay your opponent, get where to get high ground so you can shoot down on them. The sixth and final point is that it actually teaches independence, and it teaches the best kind of independence, right? No matter what you're playing, I mean, obviously if you're playing Genji, if you're playing Tracer, you have to know independence anyway, because you're pretty much going to be alone. Yes, you can play backline Genji much like Seagull does, but whenever it comes down to it, Seagull has to get behind them at some point and teach that independence. Seagull's not going to get so much healing whenever he's behind the enemy team. Seagull's going to have to Seagull's going to have to rely on what he knows and what, like, his map awareness and everything else to get him through that area. So that he, you know, maybe he takes a few early shots, he has to go heal, he has to find the heal and then come back or something like that. Maybe if he has a Zen, he can call out and say like, hey, can you orb me or something like that. But there's not too many healers that are going to be able to just throw a heal on you from, you know, whenever you're sat behind the enemy team, kind of a thing. I guess like Mercy's not useful at all. Lucio, again, same. You know, he has a radius. You're not going to be in that radius if you're behind the enemy team. Anna maybe could throw you some heals, maybe could do some good things for you, but that's about it. And she should probably be worried about healing her own team. Zen's pretty much the only healer that you're going to actually have that's going to be able to heal you. So it teaches that extreme independence, which I really, really like. And I mean, like, even if you're playing, again, like someone like Soldier, if you're playing Soldier, it teaches you some extreme independence because you need to find your right angles. You have to be smart about everything that you do. It makes you think way more than in a normal game, because in a normal game, you're 1/6 of your chance to win, kind of a thing. You know, you have 5 other people out there that are doing, like, if they're doing your job and you're not in the right position, you're dying too much, you're having a rough game, those people can possibly carry you to victory because, you know, 5 people, say the enemy team's in the same situation, you know, they have somebody or 2 people who are having a rough game, and you're going to be able to win over them. Well, where are your mistakes? This is how you're going to be able to find your mistakes very, very easily, is by just having a look at what you're doing wrong. How can I overcome this? You know, if you're dying to a Pharah as Soldier, or you're dying to a Pharah as McCree, how can you overcome that? Well, your aim has to be better. Maybe you should take high ground first. That way you're a little bit closer to the Pharah, close down that gap. As soon as she starts shooting at you, relocate, kind of a thing. Try and take advantage of her whenever she's on the ground, because that's the easiest time to shoot a Pharah, especially if you're Soldier with your right click. You can shoot it kind of at her feet and do a lot of damage there. Stuff like that. You have to understand how to outplay people. When's the best time to kill somebody? When are they most vulnerable? Pharah, when she's on the ground. Mei, whenever she doesn't have any of her cooldowns, whenever she's already used her shift ability, her ice block, and her E ability, her wall, that is whenever Mei is easily meltable. No matter who you're playing, really. You know, all she can do now is freeze you if you're Genji, kind of a thing, if you're close. And then if you're Soldier, she stands no chance. You know, unless she gets like a lucky right click and then a body shot off of that. That's pretty much the only way that she's going to be able to kill you. So understand what cooldowns they have, what they're about to use, kind of a thing, when the best time to kill them is, and it just really teaches that independence, that player independence rather than group independence, or group dependence, I guess is what it would be called. You don't want to have that. You want to be confident in your own play. You don't want to have to rely on somebody else, on anybody else, really. Because, I mean, we've all done it in quick match and in arcade and in competitive. Some people just, like, they don't do their job at all, you know. I had a Lucio player, only healer, in a comp game, and he did not heal. He never had his healing thing on. All he did was have speed on the entire time, and it was terrible. But I was playing Soldier, so I called out biotic fields down, so people would come stand in it, heal up, and then move on from there. So you have to overcome these things, and you have to know player independence in Overwatch, just like any other game, even though Overwatch is very, very team based. So I'm gonna take a quick second and close this video out, But first, I want to kind of talk about the settings that I like to do whenever I do my 1v1s against friends. What I usually do is I have to agree on a map with somebody. You know, you don't want to go to some place like Temple of Anubis, which isn't too good for Farah because it's kind of a short map. By short, I mean like the ceiling of the map is kind of closer to the ground than on King's Row. So you want to pick a good map, depending on who these people want to play. Beyond that, I like to sometimes cross people off of the list. Say I don't want to face a Winston, so I cross Winston off of his list, kind of a thing, and then he takes a pick off mine. So say Soldier, because I play Soldier as a main, so I'll cross Soldier off my list, and we'll just kind of go back and forth for a couple of times, maybe mark 3 people off for each of us, and then go from there. You can do 2 things, of course. Either do this with skirmish mode on, so that you can constantly switch your characters and kind of pick the counters to counter one another, kind of a thing, or you can just do 1v1 mystery duels, where you're both just locked in as the same player no matter what, and play against each other, and then the next round you'll play somebody else, and so on and so on. Those are both pretty good options, and I like to mix them up because yes, mirror matches are kind of fun to play out just to see who's better at what. But then I really do enjoy the skirmish mode, just 1v1s. I think those are probably the best because you can learn how to play against other things. Because if I want to play Genji, the only thing I don't want to, I don't just want to play against another Genji. You know, I want to play against Pharah, I want to play against Widow, I want to play against Soldier, McCree, Roadhog, everybody, you know, kind of a thing. So that's what you can kind of do, and Genji's a very hard one to counter, so that's why I like those 1v1s a lot, because it teaches you how to better counter everything, except for, of course, Winston, because he can wreck you. That's how I'm going to end the video, guys, right there. If you want to take part in the first giveaway that we're doing on the channel, it happens at 100 subs. We're at 96 right now, so make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you like the video, because it helps my tiny ass channel grow. Anyway, guys, until next time, I will see you later. Peace.